Right, there's one ad in this section, and it's Tao. Don't talk, don't heckle, stay off your phones, and make some noise for Tao!
So I used to work in aged care because nothing brings me more joy than to spend time with racist people. I notice some people get a bit annoyed when they see couples making out in public. I have a solution. You go up to the couple, they have their tongues down each other's throats, and you say, "What you two are doing is really hot." Do you mind if I just sit and watch? And then you take out a bag of potato crisp and you just watch them. Make sure that you're in earshot distance so they can hear that annoying crunch sound. Every time you take a bite into your crisp, lick your fingers, and then just play with your nipples. They instantly stop making out. I'm doing okay in comedy. I'm doing okay. Not great. Not to the point where I'm featured on Netflix, but I've actually earned enough money through comedy to now be able to subscribe to Netflix. I started meditating and doing yoga, and now I feel so much better than everyone who doesn't meditate or do yoga. I joined a yoga class and the instructor kept saying, "Focus on your breathing. Release the tension." And the only thing I could focus on was trying to not release a fart. I consider myself a spiritual woman, mainly so I can blame everything on Mercury retrograde or PMS. I have a joke about procrastination. I'll tell you it later. I have a joke about repetition. I'll tell you it later. You guys eat out much? You guys go to restaurants? Yeah? I notice a lot of chefs now are trying to be innovative. You know, they're creating things like a deconstructed pie. Have you seen this? The deconstructed pie, where they take the components of a pie, the filling, the pastry, they separate it on the plate. They call this innovative cooking. I don't think there's anything clever about that. What's clever is actually being able to construct a pie. I saw a restaurant the other day called the Standard Indian Restaurant. Standard Indian Restaurant. Not fantastic. Not excellent. Just standard. Can you imagine going into this restaurant and asking the waiter, "How's the butter chicken?" Standard. "How's the lamb Rogan Josh?" Standard. "Is the naan bread any good?" It's edible. So they don't like to boast. But if you go to a Chinese restaurant, they don't use words like standard. They use words like superior, imperial, emperor's palace. But if you go to a Vietnamese restaurant, you're just hoping that when that waiter serves you that bowl of beef noodle soup, that they're not holding it in a way where they're dipping their thumbnail into the soup. I hate when that happens. Pho with extra thumb. I didn't order Tom's Thumb soup. I was driving in Sydney the other day and I saw a restaurant called Le Garlic, Agile Thai restaurant. And the first thought that entered my head was, Le Garlic? That doesn't sound Thai. We all know a good Thai restaurant starts with the word Thai in it. Titanic. Tyrific. Typhoon. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Tourette syndrome. Anyways, I Googled Le Garlic Agile Thai restaurant to see what they were serving on the menu. And guess what? Permanently closed. So not so agile. Tie me up and play with my balls would have made more sense than Le Garlic. Probably would have drummed up more business as well. So I'm Vietnamese, and growing up I always felt a bit awkward about that. You know, I wanted to be Australian or European. I wanted to be taller, have bigger breasts. I ended up being short and flat-chested. The upside about being Asian was the fact that I had a fast metabolism and slow hair growth. So I could eat whatever I wanted, and I only had to shave my legs twice a year, which is pretty good. This is actually how I pose when I take photos as well. There was one other benefit. One time at school, I didn't do my homework, which is a very rare thing for an Asian, not to do their homework. So I told the teacher, Miss, the dog ate my homework. But we ate the dog, so it'll never happen again. Had I been Australian or European, I probably wouldn't have gotten away with it, but because I was Asian, she actually believed me. I had people say, oh, you're lucky, you can speak 2 languages. I hardly ever spoke Vietnamese. I was a bit reluctant to. With the Vietnamese language, it is a little bit complicated. Is anyone here Vietnamese? No? Yes, you're Vietnamese? Would you agree with me the Vietnamese language is a little bit complicated? No? A little bit, yeah? Like the slightest inflection of a word would actually change the meaning of that word completely. So for example, ga, ga, ga. Ga means fish. Ga means tomato. Ga means sing. Go, go, go. Go means rescue. Go means crab. Go means penis. So you could be yelling out, rescue, rescue, go, go. But if you're not pronouncing it properly, you may not end up getting rescued. You may end up with a big plate of crabs. Or you may end up getting screwed. And as a result, you may end up getting crabs. So anyone here have any tattoos? Yes, a few people. Does anyone have any tattoos that they regret? No? Not? Yes? You have a tattoo that you regret? What kind of tattoo do you have that you regret?
Some sort of tribal.
A tribal thing? Okay. Is that the only tattoo you have? And that is the only tattoo you have and the only one you regret? Yeah. That's a shame. Look, this might make you feel better. Okay, I saw this guy with a tattoo of the word family written on the jawline of his face. Now, obviously, he loves his family, right? But if someone in my family had a tattoo like that on their face, I don't think I would be that keen to tell people that we're related. One of the questions I get asked quite frequently when it comes to comedy is, how do you deal with the nerves? You know, how do you handle the feelings of butterflies in your stomach when you get on stage? And the best advice I can give anyone who wants to pursue comedy is to just keep practicing. You know, get as much stage time as you can. Because when you do comedy for a year, 2 years, even longer, you start to develop this feeling of feeling dead inside. And when you feel dead inside, you don't get butterflies in your stomach anymore. You don't feel anything anymore. And those are my words of encouragement for anyone who wants to pursue comedy. My friend said to me, Tao, you must get guys hitting on you after a comedy show. You must get guys throwing themselves at you after a comedy show. And I think to myself, you must have me mistaken for a male comic whose sense of humour is attractive to the opposite sex. No, when a guy approaches me after a gig, I get something far more valuable than compliments or pickup lines. I get unsolicited comedy advice. So I don't know if I'm ever going to have kids, but if I did have a baby, I'll definitely get one of those signs that says baby on board. But instead of having it suction capped to the back of the car, I would have it dangling just below the rearview mirror to remind me. Tell you have a baby on board. Don't speed. Tell you have a baby on board. Don't hold the steering wheel with one hand and a kebab in the other. Tell don't park the car at the casino and leave the baby inside without winding down the window first. So there's been a lot of talk about gun control. Now, you probably can't tell by my accent, but I went to school in America for a brief time, and I was pretty scared of getting shot. Now, I was so scared of getting shot that I wore bulletproof vests to school. And I was actually homeschooled. So my name's Tao, Tao Cow. So my first name rhymes with my surname, and my surname sounds like a farm animal, so thank you, Mum and Dad, for ruining my life from the moment I was born. But I have to look on the bright side, because instead of Tao Cow, they were also considering abortion, but they didn't, so great to be here, everyone. So great to be here. A few people have asked me what my views are on abortion, and I have to be honest, I am leaning towards pro-life instead of pro-choice, because I realised, unlike every single person in this room, that aborted fetus will never get the chance to hear that joke that I just did. I think it's a pretty good joke. So I'm a refugee. I'm a boat person. I came to Australia in the early 80s. I was actually the youngest on the boat. And I noticed that there is this huge concern about boat people coming to Australia. And to be honest, I'm not surprised that they had this deep ingrained fear of boat people. And I think it stems from the history. If you look at the first boat people that came to Australia, well, we didn't call them boat people, we called them the First Fleet. They weren't exactly on their best behaviour, were they? I think what caused the influx of boats to come to Australia was because, you know, the island in which they detained the refugees, you know what they called that island? They called it Christmas Island. When you put the word Christmas and island together, it sounds like a very inviting, enticing, welcoming place. If they want to stop the boats from coming, they have to call it something else. Suffering Island. Crap Hole Island. Le Garlic, Agile Thai restaurant. No one would come. That's it from me, guys. Thank you so much.